Hi, I'm Rob, and I'm going to show you one way to do a fully releasable belay escape. So let's start with an anchor. You can build an anchor if you have a cordelette, or you can use a double runner. If you have to do the double runner, on my pair of bolts here, I'm going to put one beaner on either side. Find the stitching, clip close to that, clip both, and then I'm going to take the locking carabiner that I'm going to connect myself with, put in between, and then clip the strand down below. And I'm going to bring that out in the direction of pull that I anticipate. Let's say that my climber is climbing up off that way. So my direction of pull, figure 8 knot. And there's an anchor that I can attach myself to. Personally, I prefer to make my anchors out of a cordelette. You can make a cordelette into a double runner by essentially folding it in half. Big loop of cord, double it up, and now it is the size of a double runner. Find the knot in there. Got the knot close to the beaner there. I'm going to take the beaner that I'm going to connect myself with, clip between, clip below. I'm going to stretch this out in the direction that I anticipate the pull. Let's say my climber is going that way. And then I'm going to do a big overhand knot. And call that my serene anchor. So, as the follower, I need to tie in. So there's my tie-in knot. To connect myself to the anchor, I like to do a clove hitch close to me to start. So I clip in here and do a clove. Now notice that with this clove hitch that I don't leave a lot of space between me and the anchor. I can still reach everything over here if I need to. I'm going to lock up my clove. I'm going to come quite a ways down the rope, and I'm going to do, as a backup, a figure 8 on a bite on a separate beaner. All right, got my redundant connection to the anchor, and I'm going to put my partner on belay. Normally, my belay device of choice is the Edelrid Megajoule. I like it because it's got assisted braking, very similar to a gree-gree, and I appreciate that extra layer of safety. However, since we're demoing Belay Escape, the assisted braking makes it so easy that it's practically cheating. So instead, I'm going to put this away and use something that does not have assisted braking, my old favorite Petzl Reverso. If you're practicing this yourself, I recommend that you also use a belay device that is not assisted braking, just so that you prove you really can do it. Okay, so I'm going to put my partner on belay. We go through our safety checks. I've got the beaner locked, I check my buckles, I check their buckles. If you want, you can put on belay gloves, but they are optional. If you do use belay gloves, I recommend ones that have had the fingers cut off so that you can more easily do knots and stuff if you need to. So, where you want to stand is important too. So right now I've got myself stretched out in line with the anchor. Since the direction of the rope goes slightly off this way, that's going to make sure that if there is a fall that pulls me, I don't go very far. Whereas if I stood more over here, if I had slack to my anchor and belaying, and then if suddenly there was a fall, I would get yanked, and that would not be good. Okay, I'm connected to my anchor. I'm aligning myself with my anchor so that I've got tension through it and that it will help me hold a fall. I'm belaying my climber. So then let's say that my climber takes a fall. So I'm holding them, and first thing I want to do is communicate with them and say, hey, are you okay? What's going on? So if I get no response, I don't immediately want to jump to Belay Escape. 9 times out of 10, you're going to have less than half the rope length out, and it's okay just to lower them to the platform that you're on. If you can get them back to your belay ledge or to another ledge somewhere else on the climb, that's ideal. You're going to have to lower them anyway at some point. Better to just get it out of the way now. So if you really cannot lower them, if more than half of the rope is out, then you're forced to escape the belay in order to be able to reach them to give them first aid or to be able to go for help. So first step to escaping the belay is getting hands free. So I'm holding my climber in braking position. Braking position for the rope in a belay device is down. I want to keep it going down. So to do that, I'm going to bring a bight of rope through, and I'm going to use my hands like doors in an airlock. I'm going to close the second one completely before we even start to open the first. I'm going to do this one finger at a time so that I can really hold that tension and not have any lowering happen there. And I can bring this up so that it is the same direction. The 2 lines are parallel there. I'm going to hold that, and I'm going to fold down, making a loop that passes in front. So you see how this brake strand is parallel to the load strand. And I'm going to cross in front, go around behind, and then bring the bight of rope up and through. And I am closing completely before I open with this one, so that way I can pull it really tight and keep it really close to the belay device there. With this big bight of rope, I can tie an overhand to back the whole thing up. Now, I'm hands-free. The belay is completely tied off. So if this is enough, maybe I can now reach my cell phone and call for help. Or if we need to go further, if I need to move away, now I need to actually escape from the system. I'm still part of the system with the load running through me here. If I need to escape, I want the load to go from the loaded strand to the anchor. And I need some way of connecting the two. So I need to build something else that's going to hold the load. Well, if I want to grab a loaded strand, I need a friction hitch. So I might as well get out my hero loop and do a prusik. For prusiks, I like to take the knot, hold that up against the rope, and move the knot around 3 times. Then I grab the knot and I pull next to it, not pulling the knot itself, but pulling one of the strands until it's pulled tight, dress it, there. So now I've got my prusik attached, and the knot in the prusik is along one of the straight lines, not bound up in the prusik itself and not where I'm going to clip the carabiner. So I'm clipping a biner. Specifically, I'm using a biner that is munter compatible, that has this nice wide top for a munter hitch. So I've got that there, and I can keep the prusik close to me for now. Now I wanted to connect from here to the anchor, so I need something else that's on the anchor that I'm going to be able to connect here. So back on my anchor, I already have this figure 8 on a bight that was my backup to my clove hitch there. So if I take the strand of rope that's going to the big pile of flaked rope on the ground, I can bring this up and I can tie a munter hitch to that blue locker that I've added on the prusik. I'm going to connect the munter hitch, going to lock that, I'm going to cinch it as tight as I can get it, and I'm even going to pre-flip the munter so that it is ready to lower here later. Now finally I'm going to tie that off with another mule knot. So if you remember that we made that loop that pinches the brake strand, and since the munter breaks in this direction, in the same direction as the load, we're not passing it through the biner, it's in line with the other strand. So I make a loop, pull the bight, through. And I'm going to tie the overhand back up so that there's no chance of that accidentally getting untied. And finally, I'm going to push the prusik up as much as I can to have it start out tensioned. Okay. So the load is still coming down to me and to the anchor, but I've got this other thing built that could hold the load if I wanted it to. Eventually, I'm going to release the belay device mule and overhand to lower it onto here. But since I'm in this state, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. I'm going to add another Munter compatible beaner to the anchor. And I'm going to find the rope coming out of my belay device, and I'm going to bring that over to that beaner, do another Munter hitch. I'm doing this now while I still have two hands free. Got the Munter hitch in there and I've got it locked, and that's for later use. I can just let go of this for now. Right now I'm going to focus on the original belay device. I'm going to get my hand back in there and ready to hold on. I'm going to untie the overhand. So we've got this loop out here that's going to come out, and I'm going to pull till that loop is really small. So you can see there's a little bit left there, and I'm going to warn my partner, hey, you might lower a bit. Even if they're unconscious, they might still be able to hear you. So it's best to just give them a heads up. No one likes a surprise lower. So at this point, I'm holding control, and I'm going to pop that loop out. And now I can slowly lower, transferring the load onto this new thing that I built for holding the load. Okay, so I'm back to regular belay device setup here, except that I can pull enough rope through that it is totally slack and the load is getting held by this instead. So I want to get my belay device out, but notice that I have not let go of the brake hand yet. I don't want to trust just that prusik up there, so instead, since I built this Munter, I can pull all that extra slack through the Munter, and now I've got this brake hand in control, and I'm going to open this brake hand. So now I'm essentially using the Munter on the yellow beaner back here as my belay, and I haven't taken out all the slack. I still have enough that I can take my belay device out of the system. So even though the belay device is out, if that prusik failed, it's held by the Munter back here. I'm going to pull that in as tight as I can get it, and I'm going to do one more mule knot, twisting it so that the brake strand I'll be in there, and bring that up and around. Keep it nice and tight, try to lose as little distance as possible, and tie that off. Okay, so I don't necessarily have to be part of this anymore. I've got my harness tie-in going to the anchor, but if I wanted, I could take out that clove hitch that's connecting me to the anchor. And I'm free to walk around. I'm still tied in to that figure 8 back here that's holding the load. I want to evaluate what my situation is like here. If I feel like I'm on a really safe ledge, I could untie completely. If I didn't feel as safe, I could take my PA and connect myself perhaps to the shelf of the anchor. Okay, now remember that prusik that we've got up off screen. I want to get that back, and I want to put all of the load on this yellow Munter. I want to have it be just the climbing rope holding them, not the tiny material of the prusik. Okay, this mule knot up here. Untying the overhand. Finding which strand of this is going to be the brake strand. It's going to be this one. I'm going to hold on to that. I'm going to pull until the loop gets small. And now I'm going to do the pop. So climber, you may lower a bit. And I've got control of that there. And now I can lower on that munter. And the weight is entirely going to the yellow beaner back there. So I can get that munter out of there. Should simplify things a bit because now you can see that the weight is entirely on this yellow beaner and the munter mule overhand on that. I do want to get back my gear up here. I should have been careful to keep things a little bit tighter. I'm going to do my best to reach the prusik. Cleaning up everything else here, you can see that the climber is left just on a munter mule overhand on the anchor. The only thing that I'm leaving behind is this yellow locking carabiner. If I want to make it a little bit safer for them, I can make sure that that overhand can't come unclipped by adding a beaner to the loop clip to the overhand. Or another way of backing this thing up that's also an option is that I could take the slack rope coming out of that, add another figure 8 on a bite, and clip that to the anchor. All right, so that's Belay Escape. Protects me. So if there's a fall that I have to catch, it didn't work so well. The rope is in the braking position on the reverso here. I want to hold it there. I'm going to hold it there. No one noticed that.